pineapple. That makes sense. If you're going to
Spam
call
would
it
be a Minnesota tradition.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no kidding. And I'm sure a lot of people like Spam on their pizza. I haven't encountered that yet. But so the big
I ate some Spam when I was 13, and it's still with me, so I don't need it anymore.
About a month ago, I'm in the grocery store with my wife, and they have Spam single servings. Are you aware of this? I bought a single serving, just a little packet, like a thing of tuna, but it's like a rectangle of Spam, and I put it on 2 slices of white bread, and I was a Minnesotan.
Oh, that is fantastic.
I think I might have thrown a little mustard on there. It's the first time I'd had Spam in 40 years, probably. It was fine. I've told my wife, this summer, when we're ready for a little road trip, we're going to drive down to Austin to the Spam Museum.
You've got to.
And Spam
You're not a Minnesotan until you've done it.
Spam is not a sponsor of the show, but they're getting a lot of pub here. Pizza Barn, anyway. Ingredients on the Pizza Barn Big Kahuna Pizza. Pineapple, barbecue sauce, pulled pork, a little red onion, and then the whole thing smothered in mozzarella. Looked pretty darn good.
Hard to go wrong with pulled pork.
Yeah, and we've talked about it, not just the great food and things you can get at the Pizza Barn, but the community aspect of the business up there. And they did a cool thing. There's another pizza place up the road in Millea, Hobnetti's Pizza. Jody wrote on Facebook, it's been a staple in downtown Millea for many years, and they've shut down. They've closed their doors. So what they did at the pizza place in Millea, they had these coupons for elementary kids at Millea Elementary. If your teacher gives you one of these coupons that you've read to a certain number of books or whatever, bring it in, we give you a free personal pizza for the kids. Jody's going to honor those at the Pizza Barn. If any kids still have those in Millea and they haven't redeemed them for a pizza at Hobnetti's in Millea, Jody wants those kids to come to the Pizza Barn. She'll redeem them for a free pizza. So good stuff. And she's got a really cool cover photo on the Pizza Barn Facebook page with all the high school employees who this is their summer job now. And she wrote, now that school's out, her high school employees are geared up for a great summer of making and serving pizzas to the P-Town community. If anyone's worried about this generation, don't be. They're fabulous and represent their generation well. That's what I say all the time, when I'm working with high school kids. It's just I never ever fret about the future because of these kids. Great kids are out here playing tennis now, and I'll be at the softball tournament this week. I'll be at the state track meet this week. And there is no reason to worry about this generation of kids. There may be a lot of reasons to worry about our generation.
I'm worried.
We haven't handled things that well, maybe around the world, but yeah, we're going to be okay.
If we can get a combination of young people who are active and who are the kids we meet every week, and get them to stay off social media.
Yeah.
Perfect world.
Let them run everything. Kids. Yeah.
Let them run everything, but let them get off social media before they do so.
There you go. I agree.
Great adapted softball state tournament story.
Okay. I'm going to go back one to some track.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I got ahead of you.
We're talking about some amazing. This has been an incredible spring for track, and it's not just the performances. We've talked about Joe Fonbala and the relay teams at Hopkins that are holding state records all over. I saw the Hopkins 4x100, the boys team, break their own state record last week. They're at the Section 6 AA meet. They had broken that record earlier this spring at the Hamlin Elite meet. They broke it again, 41.23 seconds. That's flying for the 4x1. They're going to run one more chance here at state this weekend. They could possibly break that 4x1 record. They could break their 4x2 record, and Joe Fonbala, he may break his state record in the 200. And this is cool. Joe also holds the state record in the 100, and he could be running that at state. But you can only run in 3 events on the track, and he chose to run the 200 and the 2 relays with his buddies instead of individual glory. That's pretty awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah, and some other things I saw at section meets last week. I've talked a little bit about Julia Fixon, a senior from Mounds View, holds a state record in the girls' pole vault, 13 feet, 11 1/4 inches. She's signed with Georgia, which is a powerhouse in women's track. So her goal this year was to pole vault 14 feet, and it's not going to happen, and here's why. At the section meet, she does usually in pole vaulting competition, she doesn't even make her first attempt till everybody's gone. Everybody has missed 3 times at their final height. So everybody was done. Now she's going to start. It's got to be tough. She just sits around and waits sometimes for hours before she can even start to stretch and warm up. And so she went in at 12 feet 7 inches. That was going to be her starting height. Nobody else, I don't think, even made 12 feet. And it was just one of those days. 3 attempts. She missed them all. She's not going to state in the pole vault. This is the kid she's one of the top 2 or 3 high school pole vaulters in the country. those things happen. I've seen this happen before. I saw a male pole vaulter, same thing at a section meet a number of years ago. Didn't qualify for state. Was the defending state champion like Julia is. But the greatest thing about that was, as the medalists, I think they give 8 or 9 medals at this section meet at Hamlin. This was also at Hamlin. As they're coming off of the medal stand, she's congratulating and hugging every one of them. How about that? Great competitor.
Fantastic.
We will see Julia at state. She's qualified in the long jump, the high jump, and the 100-meter hurdles. That's the kind of athlete she is. So she's going to be smiling. I'm looking forward to seeing her there and wishing her good luck at Georgia. And she's a great kid. Here's another talk about a well-rounded athlete. There's a senior at Eden Prairie, a young lady named Jackie Ray. I saw her at a section meet. So she won the shot put. She anchored the 4x100 relay team to second place, qualified for state. So she throws the shot. She's a dynamite sprinter. So she's going to state in those events, and she's signed to play soccer at Minnesota Duluth. So I think the soccer coach at UMD should be worried about the track coaches coming after one of their soccer players. That's phenomenal to see. You just don't see that combination of, throwing the shot and sprinting. I threw the shot. I never sprinted in my life. So, and this may be the story of the year for me. Emily Covert is a multiple state champion distance runner, cross country and track. Minneapolis Washburn. She's signed with University of Colorado. And a great kid, a great athlete. But she didn't run all spring. She had a stress fracture. Did not compete all spring. Made her return at a section meet, and I was there to see it. She's going to run the 3,200 meters. Since she didn't have any kind of qualifying time, there are 2 heats in this section. There's so many kids in the 32. She goes in the slow heat. Nobody in the slow heat ever comes within a sniff of qualifying for state. Doesn't happen. And there's a qualifying time. If you meet the qualifying time in the section championship, you go to state no matter where you finish. Otherwise, it's top 2 in every event. So she did not meet the qualifying time. She won the race she lapped almost everybody. So then the fast heat is next. So now you're thinking, okay, is her time going to hold up? And it did. She ended up with the fastest time. She's going to state in the 3,200 meters, running one race all season. But she was as happy as she was. I talked to her afterwards. She was devastated that a teammate and a classmate of hers named Grace Dickel, also in the 3,200, who ran in the fast heat, finished second. No, she finished third in that. Just a half a second off of second place and would have gone to state. So here's Emily, one of the greatest, athletic feats I've ever seen. Hasn't run all season. Comes back. You're in the slow heat. There's no competition. You run the best time of either heat, and here she is with her arm around her friend crying because her friend isn't going to run at state with her. Just phenomenal, and there's a story on John's Journal about that. That was an unbelievable thing to see, and I'm so glad that Emily's going to run at state. We're all looking forward to that. So, that's this weekend, Friday and Saturday at Hamlin, the state track meet. Weather looks great. I think we're going to have some fun out there and some good performances.
Excellent. All right, now I got ahead of us.
Yes, there you go.
But let's get to adapted softball.
Yeah, we had a wonderful adapted softball tournament. Had a new site this year, Chanhassen High School, big and roomy, and thank goodness air conditioning, because it's one of those events at places we've had it in the past without air conditioning. Could get pretty steamy in there, and for these kids, these adapted athletes, that can be difficult when it's so hot and humid. And so thanks to everybody at Chanhassen, fantastic hosts. Big crowds, a lot of fun. Your state champions are in the physically impaired division, Dakota United, with a really, really close victory over Rochester, 8-7 in the CI division, cognitively impaired. This was a great battle. Burnsville, Farmington, Lakeville was almost going to lose by the 10-run rule to South Washington County. I think it was 11-2 at one point. And Burnsville, Farmington, Lakeville rallies in 8 innings to win 15-13. A great comeback. Really, really a fun time out there. So thanks to all those teams and the fans who come out and everybody at Chanhassen. We can't wait to get back there next year.
Awesome stuff. I love that. I love that you bring that to us too, because let's be honest, mainstream media doesn't cover that stuff enough.
Right.
Just the way it is.
It's a great event.
Let's buzz through a few fun categories here. Bands of the week.
This is spring. We don't see a lot of bands. We've talked about this before, but a couple of unbelievable things. I see a tweet last week from the Chisago Lakes High School band. They hosted,
or Sid calls it Chicago.
You're from Chicago. What do you know?
What do you know? You're from Chicago.
Chisago, Sid. They hosted section softball, baseball, and lacrosse games all in the same evening. The band went around all three of them.
Oh, wow,
the band, it was a roving pep band. Played at all three events. Way to go, Chisago Lakes Band. And the other one, this is getting back to adapted softball. After the winter state tournaments where we had a couple of just unbelievable national anthems by kids on strings. One kid played a cello. Somebody might have had a violin.
I love the cello.
And there's a friend of mine in Moorhead, Brian Cole, who is in charge of the middle school orchestra up there, does an unbelievable job with that and lots of other things. I got an email from Brian and wondered about what are the chances if we could bring one of our orchestras to a spring state tournament.
Oh, how about a marching orchestra?
Yeah, and he initially asked about adapted bowling, which is kind of a tight fit in the bowling alley, but I said, I think adapted softball, because it's big and roomy, It's in a big activity center. So before the first two games, or the first three games, we used three fields, basically, indoor adapted softball fields. We had 93 eighth graders from Moorhead, all playing strings, cellos, violins, stand-up bass. They're not called stand-up bassists unless it's a jazz group. But 93 kids all wearing Moorhead hockey jerseys. Their names on the back. And there's video on the MSHSL Facebook page of these kids playing the national anthem. And it was unbelievable. And they really did a good job, not only with that, they kind of made it a service trip. So these 93 kids and a couple of directors, parents, they came down the night before, stayed in a hotel. Think of that, 93 eighth graders in a hotel. Talk about herding cats. You got to lock them in and bar the doors.
I used to coach youth softball, youth basketball in Rochester every year. So.
Yeah, no, but these kids were great. So they came the night before. That morning, before they came to the adapted softball tournament, they went to Feed My Starving Children, volunteered for a few hours, packing food that goes around the world, came to the adapted softball, played everything from, modern music that you'd hear on the radio now to classics, the old stuff that an orchestra would play. And then did the anthem, and there were people had tears in their eyes listening to these kids play the anthem, and it was really cool. But go to the MSHSL Facebook page. You can see video of that anthem. It's just unbelievable. So thanks to all the great people in Moorhead for making that happen. It was great.
And as you can tell, and as Pizza Barn knows, John reaches people from all over the state. If you'd like to advertise with this program, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. All right, let's get to this week's state tournament.
Yeah.
We're sitting here talking on a Wednesday late morning.
Yeah, it's almost noon, getting close to noon. Yeah, we're here at the boys AA state tennis tournament at the University of Minnesota. This goes on through Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday are the team competitions. Thursday, Friday, singles and doubles. There's no admission charge. So if you want to watch some great tennis, get out of the sun, go to Baseline Tennis Center here at the U or Reed Sweat Family Tennis Center, which is on Nicollet Avenue in South Minneapolis. That's where the 1A boys are playing. Softball this week, Thursday and Friday, Caswell Park in North Mankato. We always worry about the weather here. So Tuesday night we had the big storms roll through the state and tornado warnings. My wife and I were in the basement. It's a running joke at the softball tournament. We're going to have terrible weather one of those days. But this year the forecast looks phenomenal. The crew at Caswell Park, and this is North Mankato. It's not Mankato. Nothing against Mankato. We love Mankato. This is the city of North Mankato. They are great hosts. The crew at Caswell Park does a phenomenal job. We have 6 softball fields there. It's like they're as good as the crew that takes care of Target Field. That's how good these guys are, the grounds crew. It's unbelievable the way they can, when we have one of these torrential rainstorms come through and just dump gallons of water, they get those fields ready to go right away. And we talked about track, the state championships, Friday and Saturday. At Hamlin and St. Paul, I will be there Saturday. Thursday and Friday, I'll be down at the softball tournament. Can't wait to get there Saturday. And then next week, we're not going to wrap it all up next week, but that's when we see state tournaments in golf, lacrosse, and baseball. First 2 rounds of baseball. And, if the creek don't rise, we're going to wrap up the whole year with our baseball state championship games at Target Field on June 20th, which is always a highlight.
Awesome. Great stuff from John. Just a packed show. Appreciate him putting all this stuff together. And it's cool to be at the high school tennis tournament. Doubles tennis is an underrated sport.
Oh, it's so much fun. If you guys have heard hooting and hollering in the background, that's because there are people here watching a couple of doubles matches between Edina and Eastview, and this is fun.
It's intense,
really fun.
And it's fun to see the teamwork.
It's
too.
Great. It's great.
And once again, thank you to our producer, Brandon Morton. Thanks to Pizza Barn Princeton.com. We love their pizza, and we love them as people, and